Hey folks, today we are starting with Phaser. This is a day that you've been working on for the past couple of weeks. And moving forward, what I'm going to try to do is blend the lessons about JavaScript into the lessons about Phaser so that they're happening together. Meaning that we've covered all the fundamentals I think you're going to need to be able to build out this program, build out games together, and have a fundamental understanding about what's happening behind the scenes. So in this case, with Phaser, Phaser is built up of three components. It's a website, right? At the end of the day, it's just a website. So it has HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files. And inside those, we've already covered how to handle HTML and CSS. We'll deal with a bunch of that today. Okay. And then after that, the JavaScript. We've covered how to handle variables and math in JavaScript. We've covered how to do if-else conditional statements in JavaScript. I think that's a pretty good starting point. And from here, what we'll do is we'll take a look at functions. So we'll take a look at what functions are and why we have them. And we'll look at that inside the context of Phaser. Okay, so our goals will be to take a look right now at the structure of Phaser, why it is even a thing at all, why it even exists, how it works, what are the files. We'll navigate around so you can get comfortable with it. So let's start with a little bit of background. What is Phaser? Phaser is a game engine that is loaded into the browser or used in the browser. Okay, it's written in JavaScript, and Phaser was first released back in like 2013. But the most recent version of it, Phaser 3, was updated or released in 2018. And they're currently working on newer versions of it as well, too, Phaser 4 and so on. Phaser adds a bunch of shortcuts that we can use to create games, 2D games, inside any browser, okay? Because we're writing in JavaScript, JavaScript is the language that powers websites. So literally, the games we're going to be building, you can run on any website, and anything that can open a website is going to be able to run your games. Okay, and that's different than say Unity or Unreal in that those game engines are meant for multiple distribution channels, meaning that you can produce the game once and it will compile to code that can be run on for Switch, for Xbox, for PS4. You know, these different mediums. Those game engines, that's what they're built to do. That being said, they can build for HTML and they can build out. We can build games in those engines that will produce HTML. But by actually coding in HTML, we don't need any of those editors. We just need a single place we can write code, and we can make games. So in this case, Phaser is going to handle a lot of stuff for us. It's going to handle the loading of assets, meaning the loading of images, right? It's going to handle physics and the movement of images and animations and particles and cameras, tile maps, all that different stuff, right? It handles all that stuff for us so that all we have to do is worry about the logic of our game. What are we trying to build? And secondly, the player experience. Is the game fun, right? So this allows you to get up and running pretty quickly. Okay. So Phaser is a library for JavaScript. It's like an add-on to JavaScript that lets us do things like velocity, gravity, friction, collision, stuff like that. Okay. So how's it work? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand out to all of you a template, okay, has all of the different stuff inside of it. Okay, we're going to be working on this for the next couple of classes. We're going to build a simple breakout game. That's the game where you have the ball and you have to bounce it and destroy the tiles that are above you. Okay, it's a very simple game to start with, and one that I think will work well for us. So if we look at the anatomy of a game itself, right? We look at here the index.html file. This is the template. It's going to basically show you that you can run this. And here, and we see that there's a little icon here for REPL, and we can use the arrow keys to move it around. Okay, so what did it take to make this work? Why is it in a white box? What is happening here? So we have our files, our code, kind of scrunched in here, but our code, and then our output, our display. This is an actual website, meaning that I can open this in a new tab. and it is an actual website that with a link that we can go to and try out this game. Okay, so so it is an actual website that we can run. Okay, so here we have a number of different files. Like I said, they go into this. So we have our index.html. This is all of our HTML files. This will be pre-built for you. We have a script here. What this script is going to do is it's going to basically load up all of the different all the different phaser tools that we're going to want to use and adds it to our JavaScript. We have another script file that goes to the script.js and basically grabs all the JavaScript there. We'll take a look at that in a second. And then in the body, we have simply a heading up here, phaser template. Move with arrow keys over here, right? So that's just the HTML, nothing too exciting there. And then we have for style, we have basically 2 lines here that says HTML, all the HTML here, give it a background color of black, which we did, and give it a text color of white. Okay, so what is this box here? This box is called the canvas, and it is the part of a web page that lets us draw to do things on that, like drawing or editing it in real time. You know, HTML is static. Once you type it, that's where it stays, right? You really you can't interact it from the front end. It's just basically there to present content. With our canvas here, the white area, it allows us to interact with it, draw out things, add physics. It's basically like an interactive portion of a web page. And every website has a canvas, whether they use it or not. It's there, waiting for them to use it. Okay, so we have that, and that's why that's white. It's different. We'd have to style the canvas to be different, which we will. Script.js. Okay, so this is our JavaScript. This is what we've been working with for the past couple of lessons in making our web page interactive and adding in math and if-else conditional statements. Okay. So we'll go over this, what's initially here. We're going to clear this out. We're going to build it from scratch ourselves, but I want you to have it in the template at least so you can take a look what's happening. We see this word function. We see a name, some parentheses, and a brackets. Okay, and we'll go over a bit of functions when we go to write them, but they're going to be important to the actual functioning of your game. Okay, so we see 1 function, 2 functions, 3, and that's it. We have 3 defined functions here. We have preload, create, and update. We'll go over those in a couple minutes. Okay, but basically this is it for the JavaScript file. It seems like a lot, right? We have 44 lines, okay? But, I mean, you might only have a couple of words per line. And there's a lot of if-else conditional statements here. And this is like the simplest way you can deal with cursor movement. So once you do this once, you don't have to worry about this again because, well, the code's already there. So anytime you need inputs or detect inputs, mouse clicks, touching of the screen, arrow keys, space key, we can detect all that stuff just like you would in any game engine and do something with that. Okay, in this case, WSAD is going to be running for detecting for key codes. Okay. Okay, so that's it. We have index, script, styles. We also have an assets folder, and assets is going to house all of our images we're going to use. Okay. So in this case, any image, any sprite, anything we download, any 2D image we're going to use, we're going to put it right in our assets folder, and that way we can go and we can call on it to go and get access to it. Okay. So what we're going to do is next up, we're going to actually take a look at clearing out all the stuff, and you can click run on this and just play around with it for a couple minutes. We're going to clear all this out, and we're going to start from scratch, okay? Because I want you to build all this stuff out so you get familiar with it, you get used to typing it, okay, it just becomes familiar to you. We'll get started today, and we'll work on this breakout game over the next couple of classes, okay? But yeah, I mean, basically any game is going to be made up of, in Phaser, of basically functions, objects, all the stuff we covered. And like I said, anything new that we're going to be coming up, we'll cover together as that need arises. Okay. All right. So next up, let's take a look at clearing this out and getting set up for our breakout game.